Next up, we have Keep Me Alive.
Yes, Keep Me Alive. Again, this was my original favorite song before it got usurped by Haunted. But this was my favorite for a while, but I think it kind of blends into the background for a lot of people when it comes to the songs for this album.
I know it does for me, and there are kind of two reasons for that. One of them is that I actually didn't help all that much with this one.
No, you didn't. I think you were in the voice call for half of it.
Yeah.
But besides that, I came up with most of it. Matus from our Discord server helped with some of the first verse, but beyond that, it was a lot of just me fiddling.
I think I contributed like one line or one idea, and I don't even remember what it was now.
Yeah, I don't know. That was kind of a blur. I think I was really tired, and I wrote it mainly in one night.
Right. I was like either doing homework and or just exhausted because I just wasn't tracking anything you were saying, and I was like trying to pay attention, but also not that hard. Sorry.
No, I mean, I don't even really quite remember it either. So, but I do remember really enjoying this song. It's kind of fun. Although I will never do jazz again because it's just a really hard musical style for me to do, not being trained in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
However, we talked about our cornerstone songs. This isn't a cornerstone song, but this is another musical motif that I put in a lot of the other songs. That's the Keep Me Alive motif.
I will say it confused me a little bit because very early on, when the Wilbur and Quackity songs are kind of tied together. And one of the reasons is because originally the title Keep Me Alive was going to be a Wilbur song.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, when I'm trying to talk about one, I inevitably will use the title of the other.
Yeah, I sort of messed Mango up on there. Originally, Keep Me Alive was the Wilbur song. My Turn to Rise was the Quackity song, but thematically it made more sense to flip them. So I flipped them, which just threw Mango off.
It has confused me permanently. I cannot accept changes in reality, and so I will forever be confused.
But yeah, so the Keep Me Alive motif, it's not one of our cornerstone songs, but I put that Keep Me Alive motif in quite a few songs.
Mm-hmm.
It's in, obviously, Keep Me Alive. It's in Heart of Stone. The piano is in the background of verse 2 is playing Keep Me Alive, which is sort of an homage to both Sam's alliance with Quackity, which is what I'm singing about in verse 2 of Heart of Stone. But also Keep Me Alive happens right, that Keep Me Alive little melody happens right after the line, but I gotta make a plan that couldn't backfire, talking about capturing Ranbu and holding him hostage.
Mm-hmm.
And so you hear, so I gotta make a plan that couldn't backfire, keep me alive. All is fair in love. So it's like almost a Ranbu reference at that point.
Interesting.
I have a lot of fun with this motif. It's also in This Tragedy of Mine, very subtly, because it's at the very end, at the sort of outro part where the chorus is singing the chorus, and in the background, I'm singing some reprises of Prometheus. I think it goes, my hounds are at the ready, they're pulling at the leash, I tried to bring fire, practice what I preach. Did I fall in love and shadow?
Did I lose the flame it's from?
Is all fair in love and war.
That's that.
Keep me alive.
Yeah.
It's the same O's from Keep Me Alive. So it's it's a more subtle reference, and if you don't know that pattern from Keep Me Alive, that ooh pattern, you're not going to catch the reference because it's not a lyrical reference, and it's much more of a melodic reference. But it's in that This Tragedy of Mine because Techno, who is the one singing, is singing about how Ranbu's character has died, and he tried to keep him alive. So you have that lamentful pattern from Keep Me Alive playing.
There's another motif. I don't remember where it originates, actually, but you want to talk about the game motif?
Oh, it's from this originally.
It is? Okay.
Yeah. The game, it's not really a motif as much it is a lyrical shortcut, I guess. That's not the right word. But it's a lyric that keeps coming up, and I use it more specifically with Keep Me Alive and Heart of Stone. And it's this idea of playing the game. And the game, it's usually referring to, the sketchier side of the SMP.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think people can figure it out from there.
Quackity's trying to play the game because he doesn't quite fit in, is the line. He's just doesn't, he wants to find a place to belong, so he's playing the game, sort of politics. Sam in Heart of Stone says, I tried to play the game, but it wasn't very fun, in reference to his endeavors with Quackity.
It's manipulative, power grabbing, and some of the things that come with that. You can also see in these lines a lot of how, like, we were just talking about how kind of Quackity influences Sam's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also see and hear a lot of how Wilbur influences Quackity.
Oh, for sure. And I wrote My Turn to Rise right after Keep Me Alive, and those two songs were sort of rattling in my head at the same time, those two concepts.
Right. But even before then, I Can't Let My Legacy Be a Series of Broken Symphonies.
Exactly.
Like, that's straight out of, like, Ken and Wilbur.
Well, honestly, the main two influences are Wilbur and techno.
Right.
Which, if you think about it in the lore, are the two main people that he's had to compete with.
But the other thing I forgot about, because this came out before My Turn to Rise. We're far from sunrise. It's not your turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was an accident. That was an accident.
And then, what is the next song that you write? My Turn to Rise. Where he's talking about his sunrise.
So, yes, that was an accident.
Don't care.
I'm not gonna try and take credit for that. That was a complete accident.
It's weird how often that happens in this album.
Now, I mean, it wasn't an accident that I used sunrise, because I use dawn and sunrise imagery a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But sunrise is usually, like, the moment of hope and rebirth. So, like, Dream says, there's no sunrise, there's no hope.
Mm-hmm.
Wilbur's like, this is my sunrise, this is my rebirth, my hope, my new hope. We're far from sunrise. They don't really have hope right now, but don't let go. We have to hold on till sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a motif I use a lot. But the fact that I paired that sunrise line with the turn line in the same thing and Keep Me Alive, complete accident. Absolute accident.
It's still great, though.
Oh, just wait.
Just you wait.
Just you wait. We're gonna see the best accident ever. But beyond that, I mean, I just remember having Keep You Alive, that chorus stuck in my head for a good month before I actually wrote the song. And just finding a way to use it was the main thing. I was like, I need this in a song. Where can I put it? And eventually I came up with this song. But I was sitting on that chorus for a good month because I loved it so much.
But that's back, you actually came up with that, I think, back when it was a Wilbur song. The idea was, Wilbur, because Wilbur dies.
Yeah, originally I thought it was maybe something like that. But I did remember originally being like, okay, I have this cool chorus. How would it work? Ooh, it would work with Wilbur. And then it was the Wilbur song for a while. And then I came up with the term My Turn to Rise. I was like, ooh, maybe that's a Quackity song. And then eventually they got switched.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because the Keep Me Alive, when it was the Wilbur song, started to turn into a Wilbur Resurrection song, which didn't really make sense with Keep Me Alive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because he's already alive. Like, he's just been made alive. So I couldn't really figure out a way for that to work. But I figured out a way for it to work for Quackity, so.
The other thing, and I don't think this was intentional either, because it mostly uses keywords from canon, not from the, I guess, Babel Has Fallen sort of motifs in word choices. But he talks about, I learned my lessons the hard way. No one ever meets you part way. Keyword there is lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you pop down to the next verse, I won't let go, but you have to hold on. Just take my hand, I'll keep you alive.
Mm.
If you contrast that to the haunted beloved kind of relationship that breaks, there's a very interesting commentary there on, what makes a good relationship and why can it fall apart.
Yeah.
I won't let go, but you have to hold on too. This is a
It's mutual.
It's mutual. It goes both ways.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just have one person working in a relationship. That's not how it works. And that's a very in-depth reading. But it's there. You can see it there.
Yeah. And here's the last thing I want to talk about this song and why I now really, really like it. It's still not my favorite anymore. Obviously, Haunted has taken its place. But and this is a spoiler for the latest, the last Las Nevadas lore that came out a while back. But in the last chorus of "Keep Me Alive," Quackity is singing to Slimecicle, to Charlie Slimecicle's character, and saying "Keep you alive, keep you alive, keep you alive," and ends with "Keep me alive." This somber, quiet "Keep me alive," and then the song ends, which is so heartbreaking in the light of the new lore, which came almost a year later. Because Charlie's the one that kills him, even though he's the one telling him, "I'm gonna keep you alive," and then ends with "Keep me alive." Which obviously I could not have planned at all because, this was a year before the new lore came out. Or maybe 7 months, something like that. But oh, the way that lines up.
The patterns get established, though.
Oh my gosh. It gives me chills. I love it.
Like I said, lots of little prophecies, if you will, in this album.
Yeah, and it every time I look back and I see those kinds of things, it's a little creepy. But I love it. It's so cool.
I think it's awesome.
Because I feel like I really know the story and I know the characters when I see that something I sang about or something that me and you wrote came true, and it's weird.
I mean, there's kind of a rule in storytelling. Not a rule, but there is this kind of ability when you've done storytelling long enough, which you and I have.
Mm-hmm.
We are writers, where you can grasp what the story is and where it's going, even if you don't realize it consciously.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you write stories long enough. That's how you can write things and then realize suddenly that everything's lined up perfectly for you to do this really cool thing.
Yeah, it's that same idea of the characters taking a life of their own when you're a writer.
Yeah, and see, sometimes when you look back at the end of a story and realize you set yourself up perfectly for something that you didn't consciously mean to, but it works so well.
Yeah.
I think it's that same tendency. We are storytellers. We know what works and we know what works well.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some very talented storytellers in Dream SMP.
It's true.
Wilbur is a great storyteller.
Oh, for
and
sure.
He planned out a lot of this.
Mm-hmm. Especially the early lore, yeah.
Now, he didn't do it alone, and there's a lot more that goes into it than that.
Mm-hmm.
But, nothing is perfect, and there are flaws in the Dream SMP, especially because it's acted out live. It's not perfect. But there's a reason, I think, that it captivates a lot of people, and there are some very good stories in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the creators, on some level, really understand what's good in a story.
Yeah.
And we understand that too. And so even though, we're not in their heads, we click with them.
Mm-hmm.
We sense what works well. And so do they. And so even though we're not, in a meeting with them talking or whatever, obviously.
That would be so cool if that was true.
That would be really cool. But I don't think that's going to happen.
No, probably not.
We can sense the same things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where that comes from. It's a common mindset.
Yeah.
So.
Well, speaking of another song that I think kind of fades into the background, you want to talk about Heart of Stone?
Yeah.